So hello, welcome to our interview at the Cloud Report channel. Today I have the pleasure to meet Stefan Frenzel from the Open Compute Project Foundation. Welcome and nice to meet you.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's very much appreciated from my side.
Thank you, thank you. So I guess some of our watchers are not familiar with the Open Compute Project Foundation and not with you. So maybe you start with the introduction of yourself and the foundation.
Sure. Some words about myself, my person. So my name is Stefan Frenzel, as you already said. I'm located in Munich, in lovely Bavaria. I have a background of 20 years experience within the data center industry, really focusing on the IT here. And since a couple of years, I'm part of the so-called OCP, the Open Compute Project Foundation, part of the European team and focusing on the DACH region, on Germany, Austria, and Switzerland.
What is the OCP?
The Open Compute Project Foundation, basically, in a nutshell, it mobilizes really the open source communities with a range of projects. And these projects are happening in these so-called subgroups or project groups where voluntary leaders come together and leading these project groups, and the members and people from the community. There are more than 8,000 developers within that community, and they're working on open source hardware and software. Yeah? And I think this is really describing the organization. It's a global open organization. Everyone really free to join. There's no obligation, and you really they really jointly work together. And it's a bit different approach, Friederike, than the world where, let's say, the generation of us are coming from. Nobody is really hiding their products or their IP. It's about sharing. It's a collaborative community, really exchanging what they're doing, because the philosophy is here in these project groups, you're bringing together potential customers, let's say the big guys, the hyperscalers who have an issue or they would like really to work on things like energy efficiency and of course, sustainability of data centers. And then in these project groups, we have the people who have the knowledge, and then the people, they work together on these products or solutions. And in the end of the day, you have already, if it's finished and really based on the demand of a customer, you have a buyer already. And also within the community, you have to promote the solution or the new product, and you have more buyers. Yeah, and the market is big enough. So there is no one really hiding what they have jointly worked on. Does that answer your question?
Yes and no. So
Okay.
I have some questions out of that. You mentioned you are working on not only the concept, but only on products of open source hardware. So everybody is familiar, I think, with the open source software, but what is open source hardware? Mm-hmm. How can I imagine?
Yeah. I think it's a valid question, because open source hardware basically are data for data centers. Yeah. So basically, back in 2009, when Facebook really started to do or to build their own data centers, they questioned how, let's say, data centers has been run and has been operated until then. And there was really some clever engineers who basically reinvented or invented a new data center ecosystem. Yeah, because they had on the agenda, we would like to do the most energy efficient data center ever. And that's what they've done back in 2009. And then in 2011, based on these first own data center in Oregon in the US from Facebook, the Open Compute Project Foundation has been founded. And there everything started. So basically in really an open system, everyone can joining, and at this point of time, also in terms of software and hardware, most energy efficient data center hardware so far. Yeah, this is where, so basically, I think a good example, Friederike, I think I shared this already when we met in Berlin, is if you look at the server, yeah, the server for a data center, which is actually, or a traditional server is basically a desktop PC someone has shoved into a rack, right? And due to that, there are many features and functionalities in that traditional server which are not used in the data center anymore. Yeah, and then they really challenged. So back in 2009, when Facebook done that, they really challenged the enormous suppliers and asked them, hey, can we take this away and that away, and can we really have it as streamlined as possible? And since the normal vendors refused to do that, they went actually to the ones who actually anyhow producing those servers, because the well-known companies, I just want to mention here, like Dell or HP, they do not have any production anyhow. So actually then they went to so suppliers in Asia, and they've done that. The so-called ODMs, not OEMs, they are now the suppliers with the highest volumes. Yeah, they produce the highest volumes because they are taken from those hyperscalers. Yeah, and if you look at the OCP server, the chubby server, we call them, we call these servers, it's really streamlined, it's slim, and the best example you can take, Friederike, is to look at the number of the fans at the back of the server. If you take a traditional one, there are 7 or 8, yeah, and 40 millimeters is the range of these fans. If you look at the shabby vanity-free OCP server, there are only two fans in the back, 80 millimeter, a bit bigger, and of course these these mean the energy consumption is also less. You can also then work on the speed. You can also decrease the speed. So this at least is also helping that the energy consumption of these servers is by far lower. And we talk about then 30% lower, up to 50%, excuse me, than a traditional server. So this is basically how open source hardware is really working, and why they have done all the efforts, and also continuously working in these subgroups on these hardware. Yeah.
And how can maybe not I, but yeah, data center manager, owner, participant in open source hardware? How do they can they use open source hardware? Because you can't download it so maybe the operations part, but not the hardware itself.
Yes, that's a valid question again, Friederike. So basically, if you look at the Open Compute website, there is I can also share the link afterwards here. There is called OCP. There's a place called OCP Marketplace. Yeah, if you go on there, and you're really looking for OCP solutions and hardware and software, you just click on that OCP Marketplace, and there, all the members of the community, it's open. Yeah, but if you would like to have really produce and sell OCP products, you need to be a member. Yeah, but then of course you are able to display those products there on the marketplace. And if you really look and search for these items, racks, servers, you name it, then the suppliers appear, and you go in there. You can look at all the technical details, and there's also a link to the websites of the vendors, and then you can get access and ask them for quotations, and then at the end of the day order those products. Yeah, so this is helping a lot. And also, Friederike, I would like to also mention a name of a colleague of mine. His name is Steve Helvey. He's part of the also European team here, as he's located in London. And his, out of all the variety of jobs he's doing, he's taking care of the supply chain. So he's looking after, let's say, also the OCP marketplace, but he's making sure that also the gear, the IT gear, is also available to be ordered from our members.
So yeah, great, you thought of everything. Back to another topic, you mentioned the fans that are integrated in your servers or in the open source hardware servers. But you also mentioned a sustainable approach there. Please go ahead. So why is open source hardware more sustainable than any other?
For good reason, Friederike. There are so-called tenets of the OCP community, or you can also say pillars. And one of these 5 tenets is sustainability. And they really, and the OCP community is focusing big time on sustainability. As I already said, the energy reduction in those OCP servers are more than 50% in comparison to a traditional one. And they are, and as the hyperscalers getting the majority of a lot of volumes in when it comes to OCP hardware, OCP is also designed to be repurposed, that the OCP servers are taken out, every 2 or 3 years. The hyperscalers taken out the OCP servers, because energy efficiency is even better in the next generation, and also performance. But these servers are taken and repurposed or refurbished, and then giving to the so-called circular economy. So OCP hardware is also enabling the circular economy and extending the lifetime of those servers, and these so giving them a second or a third life, because all operating systems can be really used on those bare metal boxes or servers. And you with this circular economy, and a server can run in a, let's say, in a medium-sized or smaller data center another 6 to 10 years. And nothing is greener, of course, as an already produced server. The CO2 has already been consumed, right? So, and if you look at the traditional data centers, Friederike, they use new gear. And I think this is also a figure I would like to share you with the audience. If you look at the new gear, which is still used in traditional data centers, not circular economy gear, repurposed ones, these account for more than 80% of the life cycle emissions in data centers. And this is a high number. And of course, OCP is helping this to reduce by making use of these already used servers, which giving a second or a third life, right? Sustainability, it's a big topic. So what else I can share here with your audience? I think there are many things when it comes to sustainability. There's actually also, Friederike, a sustainability group working together on a global basis, and they're working on a new matrix on sustainability to make data centers as sustainable as possible. As you know, a data center can never be climate neutral. So some data center providers say, we are climate neutral. Physically, this is not possible, but you can run it as sustainable as possible. There are many also examples, use cases where it has been done. There's one in Sweden, or 2 in Sweden I can think of. There's data center provider which has been really also just recently rewarded as the most sustainable data center provider worldwide, which is called Eco Data Center. And they have done their homework, and they are at the forefront when it comes to sustainable data centers. So they have a holistic approach from a wooden construction, a renewable material, over making use of the waste heat, using circular economy, 100% renewable energy, and the full package there. We have really done that, and for a good reason. They have been really chosen to be the most sustainable data center worldwide. And of course, another project, and where OCP have also been involved, was the project also in Sweden from the RISE Institute in Sweden, the so-called Boden DC or data center in the location, the town called also Boden. It's again a wooden construction, and there also repurposed OCP server has been installed. It's It's one of the most sustainable data center sites. It's a European funded project. They're also making use of the waste heat. So basically the PUE is actually around 1.02, not 1.2, but 1.02 on a really constantly level for an air-cooled data center. Yeah, because also the climate, the cooler climate in the Nordics is also helping. Yeah, the winter is longer and so on. So it's an air-cooled data center, and as I already shared in Berlin, the OCP servers are really robust. This has been also one of the targets of that project back in 2009, to really work on robust servers who can also really work on high operating systems and then temperatures. And it's an air-cooled data center again in Bodden, called Bodden. You can have also look on the website. I'm happy to share a link. And there are many people involved. And one of the main guys behind this are the guys from the Rice Institute in Sweden, Torbjörn Minde and Ron Summers. These are the guys really behind the whole project. Yeah, so it can be done, but you need to really, what the guys done back in 2009, rethink the whole idea of how to operate a data center. And another example is the rack itself. Yeah, if you look at it, at a legacy rack in comparison to an OCP rack, I haven't showed in Berlin, but I can also share a slide. Many things in a traditional legacy data center, rack, are taken away. Yeah, you don't need. Normally, you have 4 Ethernet switches, for example, in a rack. They completely out. There's only one, and a really cheap one, and so on and so forth. It's the density is really high of a rack, and for example, again coming back to the servers, they weigh in also less than a traditional server. It's about 75% less in terms of weight of an OCP server in comparison to a traditional one. Yeah, so these are all the examples I'm happy to share with you and the audience. And I'm not sure about how we're doing about time, because one thing I would like to also share, again in the Nordics, in Scandinavia, in Denmark this time, you possibly, and also the audience, heard about the project Facebook done a while ago in Denmark, in Odense, where they're also using, I think it's a really nice, how you say, lighthouse project, where they're using the waste heat or the heat from the servers, and they're heating more than 8,000 homes there in Denmark. Yeah, it's a really combined heat compute project, which is really extraordinary. But I think this is the future. So we will see more and more of these projects. There are some around, also some small project also in Germany. But this is where the industry would head towards. Is this helping a bit when it comes to sustainability, how OCP is also taking responsibility and also having a share in this area?
It helps a lot, because we in Europe, we have the Green Deal and the climate neutral data center pact, and I was wondering how they want to achieve it without buying some certificate for carbon emissions, blah, what is not a future solution, or can't be a future solution. So you told a lot of facts which makes the picture for me more vivid. Or there are solutions out there, and we can achieve our goals when we want to, and when we have the right partners. And so yeah, thank you so much. I learned a lot.
You're welcome.
Because open source hardware, it's not very much common, I think. And to talk about and to learn about is a step into the right direction, I think.
I think that's a good finishing words here from you. And yeah, many thanks for your time. It's appreciated. Again, I'm happy to share further information also towards the audience.
Yeah,
I'm
that would
happy
be
to share
great.
also my contact details whenever there are some questions out of, or also from the people listening to that video. Let me know and just drop an email to me. All right.
Yeah, I will add the links in the description, and yeah, if you share some slides or something like that, we can add as well.
I'm happy
That would
to
be
do
great.
that. Yeah. All right.
Thank
Thanks
you
very
so
much.
much.
You take care. All the best.
You too. Bye.
Bye.